Dave Anderson here with the Fisherman magazine. It's September 11th. These are your headlines. Basically, the shoe has finally dropped on the hardtail fishery. We've got albies moving in across the region. We've got tons of bonito. We'll tell you where to find them, and perhaps even more importantly, we'll tell you where they are not. Stay tuned for all that and more on this week's New England Fishing Forecast.
The ultimate fishing authority in the Northeast, the Fisherman magazine.
No guessing, just catching. New Explore Series fish finders keep you locked on fish with unbeatable clarity, best-in-class imaging options, and a stunning ultra-bright HD screen. There's more to explore, only with Humminbird.
Before we begin, we've got a few news items for you guys. The first thing I want to talk about are these striper hearings. We have 2 in New England coming up this week, Monday and Tuesday. On Monday, we have the Connecticut meeting. That's going to be in Old Lyme at the DEEP headquarters in the back building, as they call it. We'll put all the details of that meeting on the screen for you here. The second one is on Tuesday. That's going to be in Rhode Island. It's going to be at the Bay campus for URI at the Corliss Auditorium, where it seems to always be. Again, I'll put the address and stuff here on the screen for you guys. Both of these meetings run 6 to 8 p.m. The Connecticut one is in person only, so there will be no virtual option. And the Rhode Island one is a hybrid, so you can kick back on the couch and listen to it on your phone if you want to. One thing you will want to realize, though, or you will want to know, is that the Rhode Island meeting, although it's hybrid, all the hybrid meetings this year are listen only if you're not actually in attendance. So if you want to ask questions or you want to make a public statement, you need to be there at the meeting. These meetings are important for all of us to go to, no matter where you stand on the striped bass issue. It's important that you have your voice heard. And it's one of the better ways to have your voice heard. It also gives you the opportunity to hear these managers talking about how and why these things will be implemented, and gives you the opportunity to ask them questions in real time rather than emailing them and hoping that they are able to get back to you, because I'm sure they get flooded with emails all the time. So those are the 2 for this week in New England. We'll talk about more next week, but if you're in Connecticut or you're in Rhode Island, make sure you attend these meetings. Next thing is something that's going on today, and September 11th is a solemn day for all of us. But we have one angler who's trying to, find some good in this difficult day for all Americans. This is, I got to read the details here off my phone. There's a lot of stuff to talk about here, but this is the Marathon Man. Jeff Kolodzinski is his name. And he is trying to break the record for most fish caught in 24 hours. So he's taking an Ironman approach to fishing. So in 24 hours, he's going to try to catch 2,977 fish. I don't know what species he's fishing for, but they better be hungry. I did a little math, and I'm no mathematician, but I think that comes out to a fish every 40 seconds. So this guy's going to have to be quick at unhooking fish. But you can watch the whole thing on marathonmanfishing.com if you want to kind of check in and see how his progress is going. And you can also make donations. All of the proceeds of this are going to go to 9/11 charities. So a really great cause. It's also sponsored by Minn Kota and Humminbird, which is one of our favorite sponsors. And this is taking place down in Denton, Texas, so no one's going to be hopping in the family station wagon to go down and check this thing out. But they got a lot of other things going on. They've got fireworks, they've got barbecues, they got other competitions. So you can check all that out on marathonmanfishing.com. You can see all the festivities. You can see this guy going through the motions of trying to catch almost 3,000 fish in 24 hours. And we wish him the best of luck. Next thing, let's check in with Jenni Ackerman. Here's a little preview of what's going on in her next installment of Open Boat.
Stay tuned for this week's latest open boat adventure with Jenni Ackerman. From tackling new lures, hooking into the catch of the day, or learning something new about a species. Tune in every Sunday at 6 p.m. for Jenni's latest open boat episode. Remember to like, comment, and subscribe, and most importantly, catch 'em up.
Introducing the Yak Attack Sandrig Surf Cart, the ultimate beach hauler for serious anglers. Glide effortlessly over soft sand with wide balloon wheels and lightweight, corrosion-resistant construction that's completely customizable with options. Whether it's rods, coolers, or tackle, haul it all with ease. Built by surf fishermen and engineered by Yak Attack.
Last thing, of course, is the giveaway. This one is underway now, and I've finally chosen a gift, or a giveaway prize. This one's kind of a smorgasbord of items. We've got 2 items from Missouri. I've got a mag pencil in there, which has become one of my favorite lures this year for striped bass. We've got a monster shot in there, which is going to be great for albies and bonito and things like that. We've got some swim shads in there. We've got some bait fuel grubs in there. There's a whole bunch of stuff. We've got a Dexter fillet knife in there. So I don't know what this all adds up to, but it's definitely a worthy prize. And if you don't know how this whole thing works, it's very simple. You just have to catch a fish in New England and send it in to me at danderson@thefisherman.com or text it to the number on the screen. Just let me know you want to be in the contest. Give me all the pertinent details. And there's a good chance that, you got a good opportunity anyway to win something cool. Other thing I want to tell you guys is that some people may not realize this, but I use all these photos. So some of them show up in the report here, but most of them end up in the magazine. So you're either going to end up in the reader gallery, a few have ended up on the print cover, others have ended up on the digital covers. It's a great opportunity if you've ever wanted to be on the cover of a fishing magazine. There's a very good chance you're going to be able to do it. All you have to do is make sure you shoot your photos for a cover in portrait, you know, in the vertical orientation, and just try to take a good shot. Try to take a nice clear shot. Send them in to me at danderson@thefisherman.com. Text them to the number on the screen, and hey, we'll get you in the magazine, and you might win something cool. Moving over to the reports now, the big thing going on in Maine right now is a movement of larger striped bass. Seems to be in the Saco area right now. I've seen some really nice fish, some fish well into the upper 30-pound class, maybe a few crossing the 40-pound barrier. It's been mostly from boats, but I did get one sort of blurry shot of a big fish taken from a Maine beach this week. So, things are looking good up there. A lot of big striped bass on the move right now. So if you're in that area, that's what I'd be targeting. Nice size striped bass to be had in that area right now. Drop it down over the border into Massachusetts. Actually talked to old friend James Jukes today. He was back in town hitting his old stomping grounds on Plum Island up from North Carolina where he lives now. And he said it's been a tough bite this week. He said a lot of the bait's still in the backwaters right now. And so the beaches are a little barren, but he did find one night, I think it was Tuesday night, they did very well on fish in the 30 to like 38, 39 inch class. So everything under 40 inches, but a pretty good bite. And he said if past experience is any kind of indication, as that bait starts to move out, that bite's going to fire up big time. On the North Shore, the best species to chase right now is also striped bass. We've seen a lot of nice fish coming out of the Hull area. We've seen a lot of nice fish coming out of the Nahant area. Boat guys have been doing well in the daytime, and then the surf guys take over after dark. I would say the larger fish, for the most part, are in the 25 to 35 pound class, so a really nice size fish. And with the fall run now fully in movement mode, these things it's only going to get better from here. In the Boston Harbor area, very similar things going on there, except a wider mix of sizes. We're seeing striped bass of sizes ranging from like 25 inches all the way up to probably 45 inches. You're going to find those bigger fish in areas with bait concentrations or places where you have a lot of faster moving water. We've also seen some big bluefish in that area. They're far less reliable. They're harder to find and not as many around overall, but there are some big bluefish in the area if that's something that you're interested in. Dropping down to the South Shore, we have 3 species that guys are concentrating on in that area. One of them's maybe not unusual, but it's kind of a special circumstance, and that is we've got some bonito. We've seen these fish come through the canal a few times over the past several years, and there are some bonito in the area right now, so maybe not the most reliable species to chase, but if you're out there in the daytime, definitely wise to keep a light rod rigged with an epoxy jig or a jerk bait or something like that, because these fish are out and about, and if you cross paths with them, you can definitely hook up. Another species that is highly underutilized in the Plymouth area is blackfish. You just don't hear about a lot of guys blackfishing anywhere north of the Cape, but they are there off the ends of the jetties, off any of the famous ledges. You're going to find those fish. You might not find the double digits that you find at Rhode Island, but you can find plenty of keepers, and you might even get a good one up to like 7 or 8 pounds. So we are starting to hear about a few guys chasing those. And then, of course, the striped bass bite has been very good along that stretch. Over the last couple weeks, it started to slow down a little bit. I think some of these fish that were just so heavily concentrated in that area have spread out. I think some of them have actually crossed the canal at this point, which is contributing to a better bite on the bay side of the Cape. As we cross the canal onto the bay side of the Cape, we are hearing about better striped bass fishing from the surf and from boats in this area. A good place to check if you're in a boat, or two places actually. One would be Scorton Ledge, another one would be the mouth of Barnstable Harbor. If you're on the beach, Sandy Neck is a great spot at this time of the year, along with Scorton Creek. These two areas hold a lot of fish in September. It's a great spot to go throw needlefish or live eels. One thing about it, though, is that these fish they always seem to be on the move. So, you know, even if you find fish on Saturday night, they're not likely to be there on Sunday night. So it's definitely something where you got to kind of stick and move as you go along. But there are some really nice fish to be had along that stretch, and this is the time of year if you're going to try to do it. And that extends all the way out at least past like Eastham, and then starts to slow down a little bit more again. Have not heard a lot from the outer beaches this week. I do think that as these fish round the Cape, the outer beaches will light up, so stay the course if that's your game. Best boat fishing for striped bass has been in the Monomoy area. That's been going on for a while now. Seems like it's slowing up a little bit. There's some bonito in the area. There's some bluefish in the area. And then as we get into Nantucket Sound, that's where what everybody wishes was happening just doesn't seem to be happening like it usually is. Albies are scarce in Nantucket Sound for the first time in several years. Usually by now they've been around for at least 2 weeks. Right now they are few and far between. If you're fishing inside the sound itself, you're going to find some bonito. You're going to find some Spanish mackerel. It's been surprising numbers of Spanish mackerel in the area. But, you know, these pictures that you've been seeing online, like I have, of these giant albies, those fish are way out there. These guys are getting these fish out on the outer edges of Nantucket Shoal. They're literally taking a 20-mile ride from some of the inlets along the Nantucket Sound shoreline. And these fish they're big, but they require a long ride and burn a lot of gas. So you got to decide what's more important to you. You've got to decide if you want to go out there where, I mean, once you get out to past the shoals, that's the open Atlantic. So it's a very different ocean than what you're going to find inside Nantucket Sound. Very good bonito fishing around the vineyard, so you can count on that. Inside the Elizabeth Islands, we've got very good striped bass fishing, which is what we expect to see at this time of the year. All sizes represented. You got a good chance of getting a really big fish in that area. Pushing through the islands into Buzzards Bay, we've got more bonito going on in that area. We've got surface blitzes taking place during the daytime. You're going to find some small bass mixed in at times. And up inside the canal, seems like the canal's still on the slower side. We'll get a full report from Eddie in a little bit. And then out in western Buzzards Bay, we've still got great togging going on. We're seeing an increase in striped bass activity. There's been a few more bluefish around, mostly on the smaller side. And this is going to be the area where the first really good push of albies comes into Massachusetts. I think it's going to happen within the next 5 or 6 days. So you really want to keep an eye on that area as these fish spread out of Rhode Island and move into Massachusetts. That just seems to be the trend that's happening with albies this year. And now let's check in with our field correspondents.
Hi Dave, another beautiful morning here in the Cape Cod Canal, except for the bugs. So Labor Day started with topwater Johnny Correa, picking a couple of bluefish out of a breaking school. Johnny was throwing a super strike popper, and I was fishing next to him. I also caught a yellow-eyed devil on my white Jobo Jr. 3 ounce. And you know, neither of these fish were very big, but as you know, any bluefish fights like a champion, regardless of the size. And Ben, the potato manager at Sullivan, was prospecting the bottom with some mackerel on his hook, and Ben caught a fluke, and he also caught a black sea bass that was 17 inches long. And so that was probably the last legal keeper sea bass of the season, because it closed right after that. So that'll be good for Ben's table. It's a tasty fish. And so Kuntang is a great guy from upstate New York. He and his wife Kathy come every year and stay at the Bourne Scenic Park and fish every day. And Kuhn was working the bottom during slack tide with a sinker and a hook that had a crab on it that he found under a rock. And so Kuhn caught a 20-inch to tog. That's a nice fish, especially from the canal. And so that'll be good on the table. And Bull McKinnon caught, he's just a great fisherman. He's successful all the time almost. And he caught 3 bluefish and 15 bonito. He was using a Hoagie epoxy jig, silver colored, that was shaped like a peanut bunker. And not many reports of striped bass, but hopefully the migration, the fish come through the canal as opposed to going around Pete Town. So look forward to the fall run. And you know, my tip of the week is that when you finish fishing, at least temporarily, and you want to secure your the plug on the end of your line, just put the hook in the guide for the frame for the guide. Don't put it in the guide itself, because you don't want to scratch the inside of that and cause a problem, because that's where your line goes through. You got to protect that like as a member of the family. So just put it in the frame of the guide, not in the guide, and then tighten it up. So until next week, catch a big one.
Crossing over into Rhode Island. Rhode Island is the epicenter of albie activity right now. And it doesn't really matter where you go, there seems to be albies around. The one thing that's very unique about this year's albie bite, at least so far, and this is coming from my own experience plus experience of many other people that I've spoken to, is that the albies are mixed in with bonito more than anybody that I've spoken to has ever seen. Typically you have, you might find schools of bonito and schools of albies in the same areas feeding on the same bait. But right now, you come up on a blitz of fish, you might get an albie on your first cast like I did the other day. I kayaked out into some rough water, found birds working like crazy. First cast into there, hooked up with an albie, landed that fish. Next cast into the same school, bonito. Next cast after that, bonito. Next cast after that, bonito. So it's just a very different scenario than what we're typically seeing in this area. The epicenter of albie activity definitely is Point Judith. That's where the most concentrations of fish are. Talking to guys that are fishing the area, they're saying like, there's so many boats around Point Judith. I went out 2 miles off of the point and just found fish all by themselves out there. So you have options if you want to spread out. There's fish off Newport, there's fish off Saconnet, there's fish out by Block Island, and there's fish all along South County and crossing over into New York inside Fisher's Island area. So we've got a lot of, quote unquote, funny fish around right now. There's also Spanish mackerel in Rhode Island. I caught one of those the other day too. I think it was the first one I've ever caught from the shore, which made it a little extra exciting. But the most prominent fish right now by far are bonito. I think I got 16 or 17 bonito in like 3 hours and 4 albies. So, you can kind of extrapolate it out from there. It's at least a 4-to-1 bonitos to albies right now, but it's great to see the albies back after a lean year last year, and a lot of excitement surrounding that fishery. On the striped bass end of things, we're seeing some really nice fish being caught at night. Not a lot of guys are going out at night in the boats, but the ones that are getting some big fish. Live eels, plastic eels, both are getting it done. We've seen fish up into the 40-pound class. Doesn't matter if you're fishing Newport, Jamestown, Narragansett, or crossing out to Block Island. If you do a little searching around, you're finding some really nice fish right now, and that's been really great to see. Togging is coming into its own as well. These fish are starting to move shallower, so I'm hearing about guys fishing anywhere from 50 to 10 feet of water. I've talked to some shore guys who are starting to have some success, and that bite, the shore bite's only going to get better and better as we progress through September. So that's another thing that's just coming up right now. Things are getting better and better. Bluefish wise, it's been mostly smaller fish inshore. There's been some really big ones out around Block Island. And then all along South County, we've got the albies, we've got the bonito. The breachways are attracting some of these fish. We're finding some striped bass around the breachways and on those shore points. Some really nice fish have been caught from the beach during this full moon. So that's another thing that you can sort of hang your hat on. And we're seeing inshore blitzes of many different species. We're kind of waiting right now to see if these colder days, colder nights, and some of this rain will push out some mullet. I have not seen any yet, and I've been looking. But I think within really any day now, we should start seeing some mullet coming out of the backwaters. Now let's check in with our field correspondents.
What's up, Dave? What's going on, guys? Checking in with you guys this week. Well, the striped bass fishing has been what I've been mostly doing at night, during the day. Big soft plastics, big topwater baits. The bucktail bite's been good. I mean, we're getting fish into the mid 40 to high 40 pound class range. It's been real good. This is the month of September monsters. I love hunting striped bass in September, especially off a moon that we're currently on. That bait's moving around. Those big fish are moving around. The days are getting shorter. The fish know that. They have an internal clock in their head. So they know when to move and groove, and the water temperature's slowly going down. So that's only going to get better. There's a lot of surface bites out there, guys, under birds. You know, they could be albies, they could be bonito, they could be bluefish, they could be big striped bass. You just have to keep your eyes peeled and be ready for anything. Run and gun fishing, this is the time of year where you got to start throwing Hail Marys and hope for the best, because I mean, fall run is just, you never know, you know. But that's the name of the game for me, Dave, as far as this week goes for the striped bass fishing. And you know, there's some bluefish in the mix as well, so be careful of your soft plastics if you don't want to get them all ripped up. The albies are taking epoxy jigs, the Game On Exos, the Joe Bags peanut resins, you know, the hoagies. Your typical epoxy jigs have been doing the job. You know, as far as the fluke bite goes, there's fluke under bait schools. So if you're under a surface feed, don't be afraid to drop a jig to the bottom and see what's down there, because there may be a lot going on at top. There's also a lot going down underneath. So if you're into the fluke fishing thing, try underneath those. If not, look to 95 to 100 feet for, you know, if you're fluke fishing, if you want to set up a drift or two. Also, I want to throw in here is the offshore report. You know, there's still schoolie bluefin out there, guys. I know they shut the bluefin harvest season down for recreational anglers, but that doesn't mean you can't stop having fun. Go out there, catch them, jig them up. There's a bunch of life out there, and you can't catch yellowfin if you don't go bluefin fishing. So just keep that in mind, and they're fun. They're so fun. And there's giants mixed in, so just there's that. Just keep that in the mix too as well when you're out there. You know, the giant bluefin, there's a lot of giants out there. You know, I'm not saying you want them. I'm not saying a lot of guys don't want to mess with them, but just be prepared in case you do hook a fish of that caliber. They are out there. So, you know, that's pretty much what's been going on. The canyon bite's been the best it's ever been, I've been hearing. I'm hoping to get out there one more time. And the big eye bite's been good. You know, there's been a ton of big eyes. Guys are getting double-digit big eyes depending on what canyon you're in. Got to pay attention to the temperature breaks. There's been a ton of white marlin around. Even in close, there's been some white marlin too. You know, there's been mahi bite's been good. It's been a hodgepodge of everything, Dave. I think a guy caught a mutton snapper too from the docks the other day in Newport. So that was pretty cool to see. You know, September is a month of just weird stuff. You know, those eddies bring up cool, unique fish, exotic species, and it's cool because it kind of shuffles the deck for all of us, you know. But all in all, Dave, that's pretty much it this week. I'm going to get back on this striper bite, and I'll report to you guys next week. All right.
Hey Dave, Todd Treonze with Hook Fishing Gear with a weekly fishing report. So what a difference a week makes. From a hardtail perspective, last week it was bonito, and starting late last week, call it like Thursday, Friday, albies definitely started to show up in full force around the greater Newport area. I was able to get out after I got some good reports about the weekend on Monday, and found what was kind of cool was found both of them together. You know, usually you find bonito in one spot, albies in another spot. Started off trolling an exo jig behind a kayak as I was exploring some areas and found a nice bone first. Saw a bunch of birds way off in the distance, put in the motor, shot over there. And as I got closer, got an albie on the troll. And then once I got into the birds that were working, it was bonito, albie, bonito, back and forth for a good hour or so. Pretty consistent action. Even when the birds started to die off, blind casts into the areas of breaking water, the fish continued to hit. So that was great to see. Really exciting to get into some legitimate albie feeds after not seeing them at all last year in the state of Rhode Island. The bass bite continues to still be good. Seems to be stronger right before that sun comes up. And, eels are working for guys. I've been doing pretty well in the tube and worms still. Tube and fish bites, I should say. Bottom bite still strong. The size of the togger starting to get a little bit bigger, and black sea bass bite's been pretty solid. I've been using a little bit of an unconventional method to get some decent sea bass. Trolling a Uzuri deep diver from time to time over structure, getting those sea bass, the bigger ones, that kind of come up and hit that bigger diving plug. So all things considered, solid bite out there going into the weekend. Hope the weather pattern stays, and these hardtails that have come to town are here to stay for the rest of the fall run. Hope everybody has a great weekend in the water, and stay hooked out there.
Crossing over into Connecticut, for the first time in a long time, we have albies early in September in Long Island Sound, and it's mostly because of the lane that these fish took. These fish usually come in by Nantucket, get into Nantucket Sound, and then kind of get into Buzzards Bay or kind of cross out into eastern Rhode Island and then spread out from there. This year, seems like they came in through Montauk, went to Fisher's Island, went to Point Judith at the same time, and then just spread out from there. So we have albies in the eastern Sound. We have some albies even in the central Sound that have seemed to kind of skirt the north shore of Long Island. And there's bonito around in the Sound, and there's also lots of Spanish mackerel around. So it's a really good year for exotic species, really across the southern New England board, but it's a better than average season inside Long Island Sound, at least for the first half of the season. As things get later in the year, they typically get better and better in the Sound. But this year we're starting off hot, so hopefully it's just gonna get white hot from here. On the striped bass end of things, the eastern Sound bite seems to be cooling off, at least along the shoreline. Fishers are still putting out a lot of nice fish, and the race is still putting out some really nice fish. Also have some good sea bass action in that area that you can always take advantage of. Typically though, inside Long Island Sound, you're not gonna get giant sea bass. You're gonna find keepers, you're gonna find shorts, but you're not gonna find too many of those, hump-headed 5+ pound fish. So if you're looking for giants, you wanna go out to Block Island, you wanna go to Montauk, something like that. Also, great time of year to target some fluke inside Long Island Sound, especially on the mouths of the estuaries or like outside the mouth of the Connecticut River. We got snapper bluefish, we got peanut bunker, we got herring fry. We got a lot of bait fish coming out, which are going to attract all different species of fish, but they really do line up those fluke. One great spot for that is the Long Sand Shoal, and then outside really any of the harbors, like Clinton Harbor or out around New Haven, places like that, where we have some outflowing water. It really tends to line up those big fluke right before they start making it out of here, because by the end of the month the fluke fishing is going to be pretty slow. I know we're open until mid-October, but those fish after October 1st are few and far between, and it's more luck than anything else. So if you're a fluke fanatic, I would start putting in my time pretty hard now, because it won't be long before you're picking away at only a little bit of what's left. The outside or beyond the Connecticut River, the reef area, which has been so consistent for so long this year, has started to slow down. We're starting to see, I wouldn't say it's slowing down, I would say these fish are starting to spread out more. So where we had very reliable fishing for like slot-sized striped bass and then some really big fish, they've been a little bit harder to find. We're finding, you know, you're seeing some daytime blitzes going off in the mornings, and then these fish are going down. They're just getting a little bit harder to pinpoint. There are fewer of the really big fish right now, although that'll probably change as more bait gets out on these reefs as the fall run progresses. Not as many bluefish around right now either, but we do have some bonito in the area. We have really great scup fishing. And off the ends of those reefs, on those deeper ends, you got like 60, 70 feet of water. That's a great place to find some sea bass as well. So you still have plenty of options in the area. But if you're having a hard time finding those striped bass, I might move inshore, you know, move in tight to shore and find some of that bait that's coming out of the estuaries and see if that's going to attract those fish, because it often does. Out in the Western Sound, we'll check in with Max. So let's move over now and check in with our field correspondents in Connecticut.
Hey everybody, for this week's fishing report, this has really been the first week of fall with slightly cooler temperatures. The fish are getting more active. Striper bite is really good. There's big bluefish around. There's some topwater action. There's hardtails, albies, bonita, and Spanish mackerel. So there's a lot going on right now. It's only going to continue to improve from here on out. So I expect good fall conditions. That means blitzes, small bait getting chased to the surface and birds working over them. Small lures like a Shimano Current sniper jig, small soft plastics are going to work really good in these conditions.
What's up everyone, Matt here from Blackwell Outfitters in Westbrook with this week's fishing report. We are really kind of going full bore into fall run fishing right now. Just yesterday, early first week of September, I got my first report of local birds, bass, bait, blitz, kind of frenzy, mayhem, which we really like to hear. We had a few days of a south wind, which was nice, and now we've got that kind of typical like fall north wind. We've got some easts coming up here. It's going to move some stuff around. It's going to stir some stuff up. Not necessarily a bad thing in the fall. We've got all that bait dumping out, and I kind of think that the more chaos that bait can meet when it comes out of the protected areas and into the more open sound where the predators are, the more mayhem we get. So sometimes some of the worst days, like today is kind of an overcast day with a north wind, probably some pretty good stuff going on out there. That bait getting pushed out by that north wind for us here on, you know, southern shore of Connecticut, that can be a really good thing. So stripers still really good. Eels work really well this time of year. Guys kind of tend to fade away from them, but keep chucking eels. Those fish are looking for something that's easy, high calorie, big meal that they can kind of bulk up on. Yes, there's a lot of small bait out there, but if you can throw a lazy eel in front of some of those bigger fish that are definitely still out there, it's hard for them to say no this time of year. Topwater's improving. Love a fall topwater bite. We always kind of want that to happen. I fished the other day and had like about 70-degree water, 69-degree water, so it's still really nice out there. The mornings are getting chilly. We're kind of into those 50-degree mornings where you're in a hoodie and maybe some pants in the morning, and then by noon it's, you know, 70 hopefully, and you're kind of really enjoying that beautiful fall weather. So keep an eye out for that. Snapper blues, chopper blues, bigger blues, all in right now. Bonito kicking around the sound. As of now, I have not confirmed Connecticut albies yet, but they are knocking on the front door. They're really nice in Montauk. The Rhody beaches have a really nice run of them right now. They're knocking on the door, so I think it could be like an any tide, any day kind of thing, which I know all of us are really, really looking forward to, who love to chase these fish, because last year was terrible. But so far, you know, you don't want to jinx it. So far, in the early weeks of September, the dominoes are falling for us to get a solid run of albies into the latter stages of October. So if you have questions about how to chase albies, a bunch of folks came to my seminar last Friday night, Hardtail Happy Hour. We gave a lot of really cool information. Talked a lot about different gear and tactics. If you want to chase false albacore and you weren't at the seminar, come on in, I'll walk you through it. It's one of my favorite fish to chase, probably my favorite fish to chase here locally. I can help you out, I can give you some tips and hopefully get you on your first albie if you haven't gotten a chance to get one yet. We are here, fall run, we're excited, good weather, great fishing, so come on out and let's go catch some fish.
For more than 20 years, anglers everywhere have come to know one thing, that nothing says no to fish bites.
Hey everyone, Max here from Fisherman's World with your weekly fishing report. This past week, it was all about the hardtails on the North Shore. I heard of a couple Spanish mackerel taken south of the islands, but most of the action is coming from Middle Ground, the Port Jeff beaches, Mount Sinai, Flax Pond, Crane's Neck, and Smithtown Bay. As moving more into September, we should see more and more hardtails show up, and I saw a picture of the first Rhody beach albies taken this past week, so that's a good sign. We're moving to September. It's a great time of year, a lot of small bait around. There's tons of small bait in our estuaries around the island, sand eels out deep, anchovies, so everything for the albies and the bonito to feed on. If you are going to go out, definitely locally around, the Western Sound, Norwalk area, I would shoot across, check out those spots I just mentioned. And then a lot of guys this time of year get the itch, so they start putting their boats on the trailer, they dump in a Barn Island or Point Judith, and they run the beaches of Rhody. I do that myself. It can be really good. And then usually about mid-September, it blows up in our backyard. On the bass front, still remains slow during the day. You got to be some deep water. If you're going out in the day, live eels, bunker chunking, really deep is really good. Other than that, first light, sunset, and nighttime is your best bet. So chunk and bunker on our deep water reefs like 2811, Green's Ledge. There's more bunker that moved in this past week. I would say there's still that mid-sized bunker, but I have seen a lot more schools around the islands that can bring a lot of bass in, so chunking on our shallow water reefs can be definitely good. And then deep water is still dominant with those 5 to 8, you got those 10 to 12 pound bluefish mixed in. We have some smaller tides this past week, so the diamond jigging wasn't as good. So when the current's not ripping as much, it's nice to switch it up, especially if you got a bunker around. You can go back to a flutter spoon. It's funny, a lot of guys use them in the spring and then they totally stop using them again after that. But you can still use the flutter spoon through the summer, into the fall. It's just you want to match the hatch. So in the spring we see big baits. Fall we typically in the Western Sound see a lot of smaller peanut bunker, smaller bait profile, so we downsize. But right now we do have a lot of that, I would say 4 to 8 inch bunker around, so you could still use those flutter spoons. The fluking still remains very slow. You got to bounce around, shallow, deep, live bait, gulp. I'm not hearing really good of anything anywhere. Guys are grinding all day for 1 to 2 keepers. The only action we hear is on 28C, guys fluking, around these baits of sand eels and anchovies and spearing out there, but it's like tons of shorts, lock and load action, but a lot of that 15 to 17 inch range of fluke. Porgies are still dominating our beaches, off the pier, Capt Beach, Rhode Island. Guys from the boats are still doing well. So that's, good old family fun. And there's still tons of snappers around in our back bay. Norwalk Harbor's been good. I heard the mouth of the Saugatuck, Shore and Country, that area's been really good this past week, so we're fully loaded on all your snapper needs. Moving well into September, things are going to change. These colder temps are going to bring the water temp down, the bass will pick up, the albies show up, the fish will get really good again. Thanks and good luck.
In the famed waters of Panama awaits a fishing experience like no other. Tropic Star Lodge welcomes anglers to get in on world-famous fishing action. Plan your perfect trip today. Tropic Star Lodge, the ultimate in fishing adventures for more than 60 years.
That's what I have for you guys in the reports this week. It should inspire you to get out there. These drag melting albies are around, and I think their numbers are only going to increase as time goes on. There's tons of bait around right now, and there's no reason for these fish to leave. The water's still very warm, and things are looking great. If you're not a subscriber to The Fisherman, I highly recommend you head over to our website. That's thefisherman.com. You get a full taste of what we offer. We cover all the fishing from Delaware to Maine, whether you're fishing from shore, whether you're fishing freshwater, whether you're heading offshore. We've got it covered. It's going to cost you $31.95 for the year. You're going to get 12 paper magazines sent to your house, 26 digital editions sent to your email, and you get digital access to every back issue for all 3 editions. It's the best $32 you can spend in fishing. There's no way around it. If you're not interested though, after you check the website, which will be tough to believe, at the very least, give us a like and subscribe here on YouTube and hit that little bell thing right there so you get a notification every time we post something new. I appreciate you guys for watching, and we'll see you next week.